On Anchor, Breaker, Spotify, Radio Public and Pocket Cast, this is Under Review from V Studios. Hello there, welcome to Series 1, Episode 7 of Under Review. Today it's the Royal Breakdown Part 1 episode. Later in the episode we're going to be reading an extract from Finding Freedom, which is a new book out. But first, we will introduce the subject as well as the headlines. So, begin with the headlines, as I said. The UK restrictions unjust is what Spanish PM, the Spanish Prime Minister, has said about the new quarantine rules the UK is imposing on arrivals from Spain. Also, the government is apparently dragging its feet over racism, as well as vouchers and bikes on the NHS to boost active travel. Also, a lack of translator device is apparently putting patients at risk. So, anyway, that's your headlines, and we will get on with the episode now. So, we'll begin with about a 5-10 minute-ish introduction about the subject, which is the Royal Breakdown. So, for an introduction of the subject, the Royal Breakdown is to do with, well, it's a saying. It's the headline of the Times, actually, so I was just kind of taking it from there. It's something to do with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who obviously married a few years ago, and they're the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, or rather, they're previous Duke and Duchess of Sussex before they broke up from the royal family. So, yeah, recently they've basically fallen out with the royal family. You could probably put it like that. So some people think the couple aren't treated so well because Meghan is American and of a different race, or perhaps mixed race, I think. So again, this links to racism, discrimination, and perhaps segregation from the rest of the royal family. So the whole thing really started after Harry and Meghan announced they would basically leave the royal family. Obviously not literally, Harry can't leave the royal family. It's just impossible. You know what I mean. In that they would give up their duty as Duke and Duchess and also give up their HRH titles, which means His or Her Royal Majesty, in case you didn't know that. They also announced they would move, not just for a holiday, although they did go on holiday recently. That was Harry's idea, to go near to Meghan's hometown. So yeah, they're going on holiday to Canada, nearer to Meghan's home, perhaps, forever, along with their son Archie. So they're having a permanent getaway from the UK and what's happening with the royal family in the UK. Also, Harry and Meghan, as you probably heard before, aren't too pleased with the press. At the time when the press published a letter, I think it was the Telegraph, that was meant to be private, they published one of Harry's letters, and it was meant to be private. As well as accusing people in America of spying on them via drones, probably also the fault of the press, perhaps, as well. The couple also haven't been that kind with their relatives, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. But not just them, however, their relationship with all of the family has been quite shaky, it's fair to say. So overall, since they have been married, things haven't been going too well for them. And I don't think this is anything really to do with the with COVID-19 at all. It's especially family affairs of the royal family, so they haven't been affected by COVID-19 at all, I don't think. Maybe some travel stuff, but it's been hard, first 2 years, maybe 1 year, for them not in office, in basically as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. So I guess we can feel sorry for them, but also, would you want them to leave the royal family? It's a question for you. Anyway, we are shortly going to read an extract from Finding Freedom, which is, actually there's a long name, Finding Freedom, Harry and Meghan and the Making of a Modern Royal Family. It's by Omid, Scobie and Carolyn, Durand. It's a new book, which is, I found an extract of it in the newspaper recently, and I'm going to read a bit out this week and a bit out next week. I don't know how long, might last about 5 minutes-ish. But anyway, we will do that after this. From VigiCorp UK and HD Software, introducing vSuite, the ultimate productivity tool. Make everything work seamlessly, happily, and easily with a set of features which help you with your everyday life. Whether you're at enterprise, education, or you're just at home, and vSuite, Actigo, Edustrate, and MyRoom are the set of tools which help you out wherever you are, and they're designed by VigiCorp UK and HD Software, so you can be sure they're great. And now, on Under Review, here's part 2, an extract from Finding Freedom, Harry and Meghan, and the Making of a Modern Royal Family by Omid, Scobie, and Carolyn Durand, if I pronounced that right. As the Range Rover pulled up the driveway into Sandringham House, Harry was nervous. The estate, where the Queen was in residence and where so many Christmas memories had been made, was now the setting for the most important meeting of his royal life. It was also the hardest. He found himself more at odds with his family than ever. It wasn't an easy decision to stand up to the age-old rules of the monarchy, but for Harry, this was his only option in making things right for his own little family. A source close to the couple said, "This is tearing him apart. He loves the Queen, but this wife feels aggrieved, and he adores his son. Harry's whole world is Archie." Harry was facing the Queen, Charles, and William for the first time since he and Meghan had released their full plans to step away from their official roles in the royal family to the world. Although Prince Philip had been expected to participate in the meeting, he left for his farmhouse located in the estate shortly before discussions could get underway. In the days since Harry and Meghan launched their website, sussexroyal.com, Buckingham Palace's dismay had turned to resolve in repairing the situation and moving on as quickly as possible. While the hybrid model posed a huge challenge that few thought could be overcome, one source said, "The drama and division is doing the most damage." Prior to the meeting, aides had assured Harry that the Queen wanted to help the Sussexes find a resolution, even if they might not get everything they wanted. Despite the reassurances, Harry wasn't sure who to believe anymore. Since getting married, Harry and Meghan had enjoyed calling their own shots. Harry and Meghan liked being in control of their narrative, a source said, which is why originally agreeing to fold their household into the Buckingham Palace, instead of creating their own independent court, had proved a big disappointment to them. Harry and Meghan had wanted to create their own individual household in Windsor, meaning their own office staffed with their own team, who would be separate from all others. But senior officials quickly ruled out that option. The senior courtiers, whom Diana used to refer to as men in grey suits, were concerned that the global interest in and popularity of the Sussexes needed to be reined in. In the short time since their fairy tale wedding, Harry and Meghan were already propelling the monarchy to new heights around the world. As their popularity had grown, so did Harry and Meghan's difficulty in understanding why so few inside the palace were looking out for their interests. They were a major draw for the royal family, according to press reports that compared the online popularity of the Sussexes with the Cambridges from November 2017 to January 2020. Harry and Meghan related searches accounted for 83% of the world's curiosity in the two couples. The Sussexes had made the monarchy more relatable to those who had never before felt a connection. However, there were concerns that the couple should be brought into the fold. Otherwise, the establishment feared their popularity might eclipse that of the royal family. Increasingly, Harry had grown frustrated that he and Meghan often took a back seat to other family members. While they both respected the hierarchy of the institution, it was difficult when they wanted to focus on a project and were told that a more senior-ranking family member, be it Prince William or Prince Charles, had an initiative or for being announced at the same time, so they would just have to wait. For months, the couple tried to air these frustrations, but the conversations didn't lead anywhere. Worse, there were just a handful of people working at the palace they could trust. Outside this core team, no information was safe. A friend of the couple's referred to the old guard as the Vipers. Meanwhile, an equally frustrated palace staffer described the Sussex team as the squeaky third wheel of the palace. Highly emotional and fiercely protective of his wife and son, Harry was drained by the unique circumstances of his family, which, as a source describes, doesn't have the opportunity to operate as an actual family. While politics are part of every family dynamic, they are at a whole other level for William, Harry, and the rest of the royals. Every conversation, every issue, every personal disagreement, whatever it may be, involves staff, the source said of the aides, who invariably send and receive messages between the royal households. It creates a really weird environment that actually doesn't allow people to sort things out themselves. No one could deny the fact that the couple were emotionally exhausted, whether they had brought it on themselves or were victims of a merciless machine. They felt under pressure, a source said. They felt they were alone. For Harry especially, it was all getting to be too much. Doesn't the Queen deserve better? Screamed one newspaper headline, which the prince read online. These people are just paid trolls, he told a friend. Nothing but trolls, and it's disgusting. Scrolling on his iPhone, he sometimes couldn't stop himself from reading the comments on the articles. H&M disgust me. They are a disgrace to the royal family. The world will be a better place without Harry and Meghan in it. The last comment had over 3,500 upvotes. Harry regretted opening the link. His stomach tied into the same knot every time he saw these sorts of comment. It's a sick part of the society we live in today, and no one is doing anything about it, he continued. Where's the positivity? Why is everyone so miserable and angry? It wasn't just the press or online trolls getting to Harry. It was also the institution of the monarchy. Barely a week went by without an aspect of their internal affairs or matters of private discussions being twisted and leaked to the press. They felt as though there were very few members of the palace staff they could trust. Harry's relationship with William, which had been strained for a while, was getting worse. As the autumn had worn on, and tensions with certain sections of the palace grew, Harry and Meghan decided they needed to get out of the country for a while. Christmas was right around the corner, and spending it at Sandringham, surrounded by members of the royal family, did not sound like a holiday. The couple decided that for the second half of November and all of December, they would base themselves in Canada. They headed for an $18 million Vancouver Island estate that their friend Ben Mulroney helped secure through the music producer David Foster. Foster was close friends with the wealthy investor who had put the property up for sale and was willing to let it to the couple far below market value. With 2 private beaches on 4 acres of land, it provided a haven for the shell-shocked couple. Meghan's mother, Durand, visited for the Thanksgiving holiday. Away from the courtiers and all things royal, they could think for themselves. They went over the events since the wedding and talked about how and if they could create a situation that would make for a better future. I don't need to have that movie moment where we get out of a car and wave to 100 photographers before going into a building, Harry told a friend. It should just be about the work happening inside. Let's focus on what really matters. Before leaving the UK, Harry had spoken a handful of times to his grandmother and father and a number of key aides about the urgent need to change things for him and his wife within the palace structure. He felt at once used because of their popularity, hounded by the press because of the public's fascination with this new breed of royal couple, and disparaged back within the institution's walls for being too sensitive and outspoken. He and Meghan didn't want to walk away from the monarchy, rather. They wanted to find a happy place within it. But as the weeks went by, the couple had realised they couldn't go back to the way things had been at home. As hard as the decision was to make, they came to a conclusion. Harry and Meghan were going to step back from their roles as senior royals and cut themselves from the access to the sovereign grant. Now, just to pause here, I think that is very bold. Carry on. Despite the change, they still wanted to carry out their duties for the Queen. That was the one thing that they did not want to end. not just because of Harry's love and respect for his grandmother, but also because Meghan felt she had given up so much to take her life down a path of service to the monarchy. She didn't quit when she signed up for a task. They knew there would be hurdles, such as discussions over the security that was provided by the Metropolitan Police for internationally protected people. But they were confident enough that before Christmas, Harry emailed his grandmother and father to say that he and Meghan had come to the decision to change the way they worked, to step back and spend more time abroad. He didn't get into much more detail, worried that the news might leak via a member of staff. The rest, he said, they were discussed in person. With both family members informed, Charles' private office was requested to schedule a time for the two to meet the Queen, who was based at Sandringham for the holiday, as soon as the Sussexes returned to the UK on January 6. Their trip to London was going to be short, but Harry was keen to ensure that by the time they returned to Canada at the end of the week, their new chapter had been secured. Harry was right to be worried about leaks. Details from the email soon ended up in the hands of a tabloid reporter who began inquiring about the couple's plans to spend more time in Canada. But that was the least of his worries. Despite repeated follow-ups with his father's office, he was unable to secure time with the Queen. She would not be available, he was told, until January 29. He felt like he was being blocked, a source close to the prince said. As their Air Canada flight made its early morning touchdown at Heathrow, and still with no appointment to see Her Majesty, Harry and Meghan toyed with the idea of driving straight to see the Queen. Not wanting to cause problems for themselves, arriving unannounced would have ruffled feathers, the couple instead called for a team meeting at their home, Frogmore Cottage. With senior aides, Harry and Meghan revealed details of their plan to the team. Whether their speedy approach was right or not, Harry and Meghan were more determined than ever. At this point, they felt like they had brought up the subject enough times with family members over the past year, and they were fed up of not being taken seriously, a source close to the couple said. Everyone had their chance to help, but no one did. Few things remained secret between royal households, and it didn't take long after Harry's initial email from the Sussexes' great plans to be the topic of conversation among most of the aides and family members. Worried about losing control of the situation, Harry contacted his grandmother to explain his concerns, and she signed off on putting together a jointly agreed statement. The couple hesitated about involving the other households, not knowing if everyone involved would have their best intentions, but agreed for aides to meet up the next day and get on the same page. Do submit your opinions on what we've discussed in this episode. So the second part of the episode was the stuff under review, which we're going to be discussing next week. And we'll be discussing it in the second part of next week. So it's very easy to submit your opinions, and we would love to hear what you think. So firstly, if you want to do it the easier way, go to anchor.fm/underreviewcast. That's Anchor spelt ANCHOR, and under review is spelt UNDERREVIEW, and cast is obviously CAST, in case you need to brush up on your spelling. And also, if you would like to write instead of speak like a senior MP, you may email underreviewcast@gmail.com. That's underreviewcast@gmail.com. Just to round up, repeat those credentials: anchor.fm/underreviewcast and underreviewcast@gmail.com. Thank you. As I said, do submit your opinions, and this week just tell us about what you think about the royal breakdown and what's been happening recently with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. So, thank you for listening this week. You just listened to Series 1, Episode 7, and I was your host, Viggo Bryant-Frost. Over the summer, Under Review won't exactly be as normal, so it will be limited and perhaps shortened while our contributors are unable to contribute, probably throughout the summer holiday. Where possible, I will make do without them, like I did in this episode. although you can become a contributor by, as I said, submitting your opinions. It is key to the podcast. Under Review will not be on for 2 separate weeks, the week beginning the 10th of August and the week beginning the 24th of August. I'm not around to do it in those 2 weeks. The week beginning the 17th, on as usual as far as I know currently. Special episodes will probably be coming while we can't do normal episodes, probably without contributors, because obviously, unless you chip in and help, there's not going to be many extras to add on. So next week, it's part 2 of the Royal Breakdown for episode 8. I'm going to read a bit more of this extract. I don't know if I'm going to finish it, but hopefully will. And yeah, that'll be about it for this 2 weeks. So thank you for listening. As I said, please subscribe, /like, /follow wherever you get your podcasts: Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, etc., etc. And thank you for listening. Bye bye. See you next week.